last but certainly not least, Mr. Jeffrey White. Man, you're amazing. Investment broker, triathlete, fitness trainer. Now you're writer, entrepreneur, ghostwriter, editor. Step up to the mic.
All right, I want to thank y'all for the opportunity, and I know it's getting late, so I'm not gonna be too long. But I just want to give you a brief background about myself. Like Erica said, I started out as a financial advisor. I sold stocks. I had a book of clients, and all that good stuff. And eventually, I realized that I was tired of the industry. I wanted to do something different. And what I did was I had a passion of exercise and working out because that was a huge stress reliever for me. Exercise was my way of relieving stress. Some people, they drink coffee, some abuse drugs. They got to find a way to relieve that stress. My stress reliever was working out. So I got pretty good at working out. I started doing triathlons, where swim, bike, and run. That was fun for me. So as the business, it started to change, it started to evolve, and I really wasn't happy with the way the industry was moving. So I decided to do something different. So I quit the brokerage industry and I became a personal trainer. And at that point, I was very happy, but I wanted to learn more about exercise and fitness and business. So I became a wellness coach as well. And becoming a wellness coach totally changed my life, believe it or not. Because when I was a personal trainer, I thought fitness was all about muscle and exercise and working out. But what I realized, there's more to being fit than just exercise like that. You have to have that mental fitness, that spiritual fitness, physical fitness, mental fitness, spiritual fitness, and financial fitness. You have to have all four of those working together, because if you don't, your body's not, your life is not going to be all in one accord. You have to look at all of these together, because a lot of times we can be physically fit, but we're not mentally fit. We don't have the self-esteem. We don't have the ability, belief in ourselves to overcome the odds. Or we may not be spiritually fit, and we want to hurt other people to get ahead. And that's not the way to live. And of course, you got to have the financial fitness as well, because we need money to survive. So I started to look at the big picture, started looking at all that together. And so then I started writing books. I've written 11 books, 8 of them bestsellers, but I really want to talk about, actually I want to talk about 2 tonight, I'm sorry. But what I realize is there's a lot they don't talk about in school. And I think it does us all a huge disservice if we do not educate ourselves, because there are a lot of things in the world that we need to know that's not taught. And so I'm really big on business. I think learning how to make your own money is a huge component of, of fitness and being able to take care of yourself. And so I wrote a book on entrepreneurship. And not only just for adults, but I have one for kids as well. And you can see it there on the screen. It's called Planting Seeds, A Children's Guide to Entrepreneurship. I think, especially in our community, it's critical that we learn how to start businesses. We can see with going on with the COVID, a lot of people are waiting on stimulus checks. But if we know how to start our own businesses, we have a greater chance of being able to take care of ourselves. So I wrote this book. It's specifically geared for kids so they can at least learn different aspects of business, because they don't teach this stuff. And the older you get, the harder it may be for an individual to even think about starting their own business, because, once you get older, you're thinking about, okay, I got to get this check every 2 weeks. I can't imagine doing all this work and not getting paid. And being an entrepreneur is one of the best things you can do, not only for yourself, but for your family and even for your community. Because if we can start to finally create our own jobs and build our own communities from that aspect, that can really help us in many different ways. Instead of always looking out for someone to give us a job, we can create our own. We can hire our youth, our teenagers, to keep them off the streets. We can teach them business so they can grow up and create their own businesses. We can teach them about passive income so they don't have to always worry about that one check is going to pay all their bills. If you have multiple streams of income, that is a fantastic way for you to live your life and to really help your life, prosper. So this is a very important thing that I think that our community is lacking. I think that it's good if you don't want to work for someone. If you want to work for someone else, that's perfectly fine. But for people like myself, why not get yourself in a position where you can hire someone who looks like you? I think there's another major problem that I see is the natural hair thing. There's a really big problem where they say, we shouldn't wear our natural hair. Women can't wear their natural hair at their jobs. That is, ridiculous to me. If we create our own jobs, then there's a very good chance that you can be yourself and you can prosper in an environment that really is working for you. So I'm really big on business. I'm big on entrepreneurship. I think that's really big for our community. And the sooner we can at least educate people about that, the better. I like that phrase. If you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. But if you teach him how to fish, he can eat for a lifetime. And I think that's just something that was really big and important in our communities. And just the mindset of being an entrepreneur and understanding how it works, I think is really, really big. So in addition to that, I started camps, which is the Yes We Did virtual training center, virtual learning center. And here I talk about, I have an entrepreneur course for kids, I have one for adults, and I have a Black History course as well. So that is my entrepreneur camp for kids right there. It's an hour-long course, and it just gives them basic terms about what entrepreneurship is and different things they can do and words that they will never learn in school. That is my biggest pet peeve. School does not teach us a lot of things that we need to know to be effective adults. And a lot of times if you don't know something, you don't realize that it's even out there and it's available for you. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us don't realize how lucrative being an entrepreneur can be and how good it can be for you. When I left corporate America, this was one of the best decisions of my life because I felt more in control of my life. I didn't want to have to keep working for someone else because they put a cap on how much I could make. They told me when I could go, when I had to come in and all that. But when you can create your own business and have your own, it really opens you up to many different opportunities in the world. And so that is one of my passions right there, is just the saving and teaching kids entrepreneurship. And my mother's a school teacher, so I totally understand the plight of the educational system. There are some things they just can't teach. So instead of all of us just relying on what we learn in the educational system, we have to step out and start to see that there's a whole world out there that's not being discussed. So we have to stay open-minded and learn about all the different things that are available to us. And one of those things is entrepreneurship.
That's amazing. Emmanuel also did a show about hairstyles, didn't he? Didn't you?
Yes, I did. Yeah, we talked about the crown and how the crown of Black women has always been discriminated against, whether it's dreads, whether it's an afro. If it doesn't have that Eurocentric look, particularly, it's looked at as unprofessional. So, yeah, definitely. I also wanted to ask a question. You talked about entrepreneurship, and we see a lot of African Americans struggle with wanting to become an entrepreneur. What do you think? What do you think is holding? Do you feel like it's the paperwork? What is holding African Americans back from, or is it the education? What is holding them back from wanting to really dive into becoming an entrepreneur?
I think it's the mindset. Let's start with the mindset, because we grew up it's been indoctrinated in our minds that you have to go to school, you have to get good grades, you have to get that good job. My mother said that, get a job. Everyone I know talks about getting a job. And then we get used to having a job. We get used to getting that thing. And then you got to remember something. When you start your own business, it's not going to just, become successful overnight. It could take months. It can take years. It took Amazon 7 years to finally make a profit. So we're so used to getting that check every 2 weeks. When you get to the point where, okay, I'm going to start this business and I don't see the success that I want, okay, maybe it's not working for me. When you have your family and friends saying, man, Jeff, you've been working on this for a year and a half and you still ain't made no money, maybe you need to give up. But see, that's part of the process. So a lot of times we just don't understand that the process of starting a business, it takes time. It's not going to happen overnight. People are not going to beat down your door in most cases because you have a product. You have to get out there and really work and learn the ropes of the business and cultivate your business and grow your business and get them interested. That can take time, and you won't be getting paid during that time. So what are you going to do? You got bills to pay. Your husband, your boyfriend is saying, why are you still doing this? It's not working. Or your wife is saying, you know what? We got these bills to pay. You need to go and get you a job. You stop this hobby. It's not going to work. So we need to change our mindset. That is the biggest thing. And we have to understand that you can't rely on, okay, support a Black-owned business, support me because I'm Black. No, I'm going to support you because you have a product that I want and need, and that product is good, high quality. Please don't come out there starting a business with crappy quality, a bad product, and you want people to support you because, fight the power. No, the number one color in business is green. Green. And that is a huge aspect. So it's several things. It's not just one thing. It's one, the expectation that your business is going to start making money overnight. That's wrong. Number two, there's a lot you don't know, and you have to learn. It's going to take you some time to do that. And number three, sometimes you have people around you who don't understand how business works, that they will tell you, okay, it's not working, you need to give up. Or they'll tell you, oh man, you failed? You need to quit because you don't know what you're doing. But so true entrepreneurs, true successful people know that when you fail, that's when you learn the most. When you fail, that's when you say, okay, that didn't work, so let me shift over here and start working on this. Okay, that didn't work, let me come over here. That's part of the growth and evolution of starting a business. And too many of us, we think if it didn't work the first time, I need to quit. It's not making money in 6 months, I need to quit. You need to change that mindset. And I always tell people, you change your mindset, you could change your life. So it's not just one thing, it's a lot of different aspects of it. And another aspect of it, I'm going to throw in the health aspect of it too. You may not be physically able to do the work that you need to do to get your business going because you're not physically well. If you have high blood pressure and things stress you out too easy, that could just throw your whole body out of whack. If you're not able to, if you don't have the energy to work, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, every day for several months, then you're not going to be able to get your business to work. So it all works hand in hand.
Brain fog, don't forget that. You got to address
brain fog. Yeah. And you always have to continue learning. You can't think, okay, I'm going to start this business, I know everything. No, you are just beginning. There's so much you don't know that you have to stay open-minded and stay humble and understand that there's a lot I don't know. This is all new territory. 9 times out of 10, the people around you are employees. They're not business owners or really high up successful business owners that you can really learn and get mentored from. So you're going to be learning every day from the jump.
And there's another thing I wanted to jump in and say, and a lot of us don't understand this as the African American community, particularly who I'm talking about. Is there's a difference between a hustler and a businessman?
Yes.
There's a difference between business and hustling. And I think sometimes we don't separate the two as a people. Can you touch on that difference between hustling, just because you're a great hustler, or you can sell something, or you can do one of those Ponzi schemes, so to speak. It doesn't particularly make you a businessman. Can you you know,
Even a good
public.
Oh
product. You can have a good
man,
product and suck. Yeah.
let me tell you something. I hate the phrase side hustle. I hate it with a passion. And I tell you why I hate it. Because side hustle means, okay, I'm just doing this little thing on the side. I just do this on the weekend, make me a little cash. No, when you are running a business, it's your life. You live, eat, and breathe this business. There's no time off. You are always thinking about ways to grow and cultivate that business. And what is your end game? If it's just a little hustle for you, are you just trying to make a little change, but you still have your day job? Is that your main thing? No, when you are a business person, you are a true entrepreneur, you are doing this and you're trying to actually grow a legitimate business. You have you have your tax ID. You may be setting up an LLC. You are thinking about how to set this up so you can pass it down to your heirs. You are thinking about how to generate multiple streams of income from this business. There are so many different things you're thinking about. You're thinking about possibly even getting more employees for the business, because that is a true business. A side hustle sometimes is like a one-man shop. When you're an entrepreneur, you are trying to really grow a business that can really have an impact, not only for you and your family, but maybe the entire community. So when someone says side hustle, I think they don't take it serious. But see, I take this very serious. So if you tell me you got this side hustle, I already know that you're not ready, willing, and able to do the hard work where it can take years for this thing to really grow. A side hustle is something you want to do for the time being until something better comes along. And that is not going to fly in my definition of a true businessman and entrepreneur.
And you sound like you got the same passion for business that I got as married.
Oh man, it's so funny because I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, even when I was
Yeah.
little. It was always in my heart. And I'll tell you, one of my heroes growing up was George Jefferson, because he had a smart mouth, and he was rich, and he had his own business, and then no one could tell him nothing. I'm like, you know what? I like him. And then, of course, I had to watch Good Times, and as much as I watched the show, I couldn't stand the show because I hated how James could not get it together because they wrote that in the show that way. And I'm like, you know what? I'm from the South Side of Chicago, and I had a lot of friends who lived in the projects, so I saw a lot of Good Times, but I didn't see a lot of George Jefferson. I'm like, you know what? If they can show this on TV, it's got to be somebody out there like that. I need to find them. And what really sealed the deal for me was Eddie Murphy and Trading Places. When that movie came out, I was like, okay, I want to be a stockbroker, because if Billy Ray can do it, then I can do it. It sounds so silly, but when you're young and you see something like that, it's like, okay, this is what I want to do. And that's my passion is there, man. And what I think now is I have an 8-year-old son, and they don't teach this at all in school. And it drives me crazy.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of hearing people say, I need to go get a job, or they don't pay me enough on this job, or I got to get a second job. If you put that energy into creating something for yourself, even on a part-time basis, as you learn, you can grow it and cultivate, and eventually you can make that your full time. And then it's off to the races, because now you don't have a cap on how much you can make, and you can influence so many other people with your business and entrepreneurship. And I think that is one of the biggest missing pieces in our community, creating our own businesses. We got to stop relying on someone else to give us a job. We got to stop relying on someone else to come in our communities and hire us. We need to start hiring ourselves. That is the key. And once we can start circulating that money in our own communities, then we have a lot more control over our communities, and we have a lot more control over our kids as well.
I just saw a
Jeffrey.
meme. I'm sorry, Faye. Let me say this and
No,
I'll
go
be done.
ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I just saw a meme that said, we pass down businesses, not jobs. And everything you said is what I've been learning over the past year and a half. So thank you, sir.
No
I just
problem.
wanted to commend you, Jeffrey. I'm in the financial industry as well. And the things that you talked about are certainly true. They ring true so much in our community. Number one is mindset. And it's difficult to sometimes to get us to see differently I think our younger people are starting to see some differences in, either the rich or poor. They're not in between. They're either up there and they have disposable income, or they do not have enough money to last to the end of the month. So we have got to get ourselves more towards that upward swing, and mindset is what's going to get us there. I also like the fact that you said it does require more than one stream of income. And when I talk to young people today, I say to them, take a large company. Take a company like Pepsi-Cola or Coca-Cola. Is Coca-Cola the only drink that they sell? Is that the only business that they own? No, it's not. They say millionaires have at least 7 streams of income. So definitely more than one stream of income has to be. And writing and being authors is a stepping stone. Everyone has a story, and everybody's story is important. And once you can write that story and tell it, it's a stepping stone to so many other things. I also just found, I was showing my husband a verse in the Bible, since we've been talking about the Bible, but Mark 6, read Mark 6, where Jesus comes back to his own town, his own hometown, Nazareth. And those people did not believe him and said, "What? Who are you? How can you do these things? Aren't you Joseph's son?" His own people. And in that verse, Jesus told them, he told his disciples, a prophet is not welcomed in his own home, which means if you're going to start a business, don't expect to sell to your parents and your sisters and your brothers and your aunts and your cousins. There are too many other people out here. Don't expect that your family is going to be the one to support you. And don't get angry at them if they don't. Move on. I commend you, Jeffrey. You're doing great.
You said a huge mouthful. 2 things on that. Let me say first off, I laugh because I literally just made a blog post about this. A lot of people, and I see it on Facebook all the time, I'm not getting support from my friends, and no one's buying my product. Well, this is a numbers game. It's a numbers game. When I was a stockbroker, we had this called Smile and Dial. And what that means is we had to cold call people from 8 in the morning to 8 at night. And the deal was the more dials you make, the more contacts you can make, and the more potential customers you can get. So the deal was to make 100 and 150 dials a night. Fast forward to today in your business. Who cares about your friends? There are 7 billion people on this planet. If you can somehow reach 1 million people, and you only get 1% of that million people, and they buy from you, you're set. Now, some people may say, well, I can't reach 1 million people. How come you can't? The internet is huge. The internet is 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You get a viral YouTube video, your website, you get a post on Facebook or something that goes viral, you can reach those people. The trick is putting in the work to learn how to do that. That's the thing. And that's very important. Another thing that we have to change as far as our mindset is we have to change our buying habits. You talked about the multiple streams of income. What rich people do is they don't buy a lot of junk or toys. They buy assets. They buy items that can generate money for them. And with the money that they get from that asset, that's when they buy their toys. So they don't take their money first thing and buy something that loses value immediately. They take that money and invest it in some type of asset. And that's something that we have to remember as a people, that just because you got a little money don't mean you need to go out and buy new shoes, or new clothes, or get that new iPhone right away. No, what you need to do is you need to start to strategize and find out, okay, what can I do with this money so that money can grow for me? Preferably grow while you sleep. And that is an aspect of being an entrepreneur and in business that we need to change in our thought process. And again, I'm not mad that people don't know this because it's not taught in school. They don't teach this. So how can we expect people to know this? Through osmosis? If you turn on television, they don't talk about this. You know, you don't really hear about this that much, especially in our communities. But it's discussed, but we just don't hear it. But once we start to learn that, you know, we need to start looking at other things to do with our money that may not be as fun as a flashy car or that new outfit, but something behind the scenes that's going to start putting money in our account, then that's where we need to start putting a lot of our money.
I also think that entrepreneurship is the way to go. And I've also been an entrepreneur since I was a very young man. And but I do believe it's not for everybody. I do believe it's not for everybody. I don't think everybody has the ability to sacrifice, to are as patient enough. But I do agree that we have to have more entrepreneurs out there. And here's the thing, coming from a historian's perspective about our culture, African people have always been leader driven. We have always been leader driven. I mean, we talked about pharaohs earlier. We talked about Shaka Zulu earlier. We talked about Malcolm X. We talked about Dr. King. Now, how many of those people are there? There were only one of those people. There's only one Malcolm X. There's only one Dr. King, and no one ever followed them to do exactly what they did. That is the thing about our culture. Now, when you look at other cultures like the Chinese and you look at the Europeans, they do things by committee. They do things by committee. And this coming to this today was a real treat for me because I'm seeing other people who are doing what I'm doing. And I absolutely love that because they're doing it in their own lane, but we're coming together and to share our own stories. And us as entrepreneurs, we can all do things together for the benefit of all of our businesses and still be leaders in our own right. So I commend you, Jeffrey, man. Thank you for all of that. You know, I'm taking notes over here as you're speaking, man. Thank you.
I appreciate that.
But it's a seminar.
Let me say this too real quick. I totally agree. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, and you can't force that on someone. It's the same for me at triathlons. If you don't want to swim 1.2 miles, ride 56 miles on a bike, and then run 13, you ain't going to do it unless you want to. So I can't force that on you. But what I can say is for people who want to be entrepreneurs like us, why can't we hire people who look like us? Why can't we do the hiring? You don't want to work. You don't want to be an entrepreneur. Maybe you want a job. How come I can't be the one to hire you? How come I can't come in our community and start a business where we can hire our own people? That's something that we can do as far as, you know, our lives and our community and our people. So that's very important.
Emmanuel and Jeffrey, you're both right. Everyone can't be an entrepreneur and everyone shouldn't be. But the way we help the others, because if everybody wanted to be an entrepreneur, who's going to be my employees?
It's true too.
Well, yeah. Again, yeah. Not everyone wants to be an entrepreneur. So, but there's different types of businesses out there as well. Some people are in the process of building their business, so they need to work somewhere, say even just part-time too. And that's not saying you can't hire people from other ethnicities as well.
Right.
You know? So we can open it up. It's a very important thing. And, you know, Emmanuel, you brought up something very important that I want to tie in to kind of what you do too. It's another one of my books, and it's this one about Black history. I'm big on Black history too, because that's something that's not really taught in school. But what I learned, and it blew my mind as I did more and more research. A lot of our people in our history, they were entrepreneurs. They were inventors. They created things, and they were their own businesses. And somehow, some way, we lost that along the way. Like Garrett A. Morgan, you know, the gas mask, the traffic light, you know, he sold his gas mask all over the world. You know, the traffic light was updated. You know, Madam C.J. Walker. We had a lot of amazing entrepreneurs in our community, but it's not discussed. So I like to tell people, if they can do that back then, during racism at its peak, right during slavery, right outside of slavery, they didn't have the internet like we do. They couldn't get on Google, you know, and get all this information like we can today. If they can do all of that and persevere and become extremely successful when they were thought to be less than human, what is stopping us from at least attempting it and becoming successful as well? So I like to tie it all in, and that comes back to the motivational side of it. You need to see someone who looks like you who is successful as well. And that's where you got to do your history and see for yourself that, hey, if they can do that back then, if Benjamin Banneker can plot and chart the stars without the use of Google and Alexa, you know, and help, you know, create Washington, D.C. and build clocks, you know, in the early 1700s, why can't I do that? You know, so we need to learn that history. So that's why I like what you're talking about, because they don't show that. So again, that's two very important things that we don't see. So if you tell yourself, you know, I want to be a businessman, but I don't really know if I can. Well, look back in your history. We've been big on business and entrepreneurship. So if they can do it, then you can do it too. Just got to get out there and really work hard, but you can do it.
Hey, Jeff, I want to say it's really nice to see somebody not only talking it, but walking it too.
Oh yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, doing it all at the same time, you know. So they say who those who can do and those who can't teach, but you're doing it both. So
I know we got to wrap up, so I'm gonna say one last thing. Even if you don't want to start your own business, you need to learn how to create passive income. That is very, very important, because you can want to work, but you may not be able to find a job, or you can't work because you're sick. I don't want to be 80 years old and relying on Social Security that it doesn't exist, or the stock market that's crashed. I don't want to have to live off of savings. I want to have some money coming in every single month from someplace while I'm sleeping. So if that means, you know, I'm a part owner on a franchise of some sort, or if I, you know, own 70 vending machines that generate, or 10 vending machines that generate $7,000 a year, and something that is going to create passive income for me, that's what I'm going to do. So again, we can look at today. A lot of people aren't working. I think we're in a depression. They're just not talking about it, because a lot of people are hungry. They're going to, you know, soup kitchens and trying to get free food and all that, and they're waiting on a stimulus check. If you can find a way to create some passive income, even while you have that job, you won't be as stressed. So yeah, you may not want to be an entrepreneur, but you got to find a way to create some passive income, period. Because again, you may want to work, but you can't work.
and passive income, that's the thing that intellectual property provides. When you have books and you have music, there's that opportunity to create another form of passive income.
YouTube channel, you can monetize that. You got a website, you monetize it. A lot of people don't realize, if you see ads on a website, someone got paid just when you clicking on their website. You didn't have to buy anything. But the fact that you went to that website, and you can, if you look, you see ads on different websites, somebody just got paid from you looking at that website. So it's a lot of different things you can do that may not necessarily be, quote unquote, a full-time entrepreneur, but you can have something coming in that can really help benefit you and your family and give you peace of mind.
And I love that. I love that you said that. We just got to tap back into who we were, those inventors, as you talked about. I remember I talked to this Jewish brother before, and really cool dude, but he says, you know, a lot of African-American brothers, they spend money on a Rolex, they spend money on jewelry. And I had to think back, and I thought about it really deeply, and I said, well, if you look at my people in Africa, gold was nothing to us. We always had gold. We always was draped in gold. So even though we subconsciously we're doing that today, we need to know that we're that love for that gold, for those diamonds, for those great resources that we had, for silver and all of these things came from. We need to know that, and we have to reconnect back with that through our history, through knowing and currently knowing the knowledge of the system, which even the dollar on the back of the dollar bill, you turn it around, you see the pyramid, you know. So that also tells you about the great history of African people.
See, that's the thing. If you know your history, there's nothing no one can say to you. Because everything you said, honestly, I know, because my mother's a school teacher and she was big on Black history. We had Black history books all throughout the house. So I grew up with that. If you know your history, there's nothing they can tell you that can hurt you or question your belief in yourself. So we have to know our history. If you know your history, that's going to help motivate you and keep you on the right path to say, you know what, I can do this because my history shows me I can. My history is more than playing basketball. My history is more than us getting locked up or shot by the cops. My history is so much deeper than that. My history is I can look out right now and see something a Black man made. My history is I can get this ironing board and know a Black man helped create this. But if you don't know that, then you're lost. So it's critical that we teach this stuff, because once you got mindset, once you got in your mind that you come from kings, you come from people who did so many amazing things that no matter how hard they tried to keep us down, no matter how hard they tried to keep us down, no matter how hard they tried to keep us enslaved, we were amazing before you even came around, and we're still amazing. Once you get that in your head, there's nothing they can do to you. Absolutely nothing. So it comes back to mindset. Once you have that mindset, you can go wherever you want, and you know that you can do it. It's the mindset, and it comes back to the history. And you got to start with the little kids. Because once you get older and you start getting them negative thoughts in your head and you surround all these negative people, say, oh, you can't do that. Oh, y'all ain't did nothing. You better go get that job because that's all you can do. You know, they ain't paying you much. Go get your second job. No, you much more than that. You much more than that. What is it going to take you to learn that? What's it going to take? Know your history. Once you know your history, nothing they say or do can hurt you, because you won't rely on them, because you know you can rely on yourself, because your people have shown you that we have done so many amazing things without your help, in spite of you. It's the mindset. Once you get that mindset, you're unstoppable.
Oh my gosh, he is so passionate. You just
I love it. I love it. I love
That's
it.
what keeps me going.
I love it.
yeah.
Times get tough, man. I'm gonna be honest. There's many days I'm like, Lord Jesus, it's hard. You see, that's another part people don't talk about. You have your bad days. You had wake up and like, oh man, I don't know how I'm gonna pay this bill, but you keep going because you know you got to tap into that. You got to tap into that fire, that spirit that's deep inside of you, and know that people have been through much more, much worse than I have, and I'm gonna fight through this. So yeah, I'm very passionate because I believe in myself, because I know what I've been through, what people who have come before me, what they've been through. And if they can do it, then I can do it too. All this negative stuff around me, yeah, you can come at me, but I'm going to keep ducking and dodging. But I'm going to get what I want. And you can't stop me.
Amen.